was just a great game with two, I think, very athletic teams. My hat's off to Kentucky. Both teams battled, and it was a great competition. So I'm proud of these young ladies. We've fought back all year and throughout this tournament, and we talk a lot about grinding, and I think that's what we did today.
Raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you if you have a question. In the far back right.
Jordan, can you talk about your performance there with about 4.5 minutes left? You had the big three-point play, assisted on Isabel's basket. Can you just tell me what your mindset was there at the end?
Well, I was just thinking in the moment, we've worked too hard not to back down now, We've got all the way here, and it was a hard-fought battle, and I was just trying to help my team out the best that I could.
Center.
It was obviously a very hard-fought game, and emotions running high. Can you talk about the place where it got a little chippy in there and double technicals, and what were you trying to do? I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody was trying to hurt anybody else.
Did you hurt somebody, see?
No, I don't remember making contact with anybody.
I got you.
It's a physical game. This is basketball, and it's SEC basketball at that, which is one of the most physical leagues in the country. And we compete, and that's what we're going to do day in and day out. If chippiness happens, it happens. This is basketball. It happens every single day. I think the refs did a fine job of avoiding any altercations, and nothing happened. Words were said, but words are words. No actions took place.
Question in the front.
Hey there, Holly. You won an SEC championship as a point guard in 1980, but how does this one feel, your first as a head coach?
1980. It's very, very special. It really is, and you got to have, you got to have players making plays. It's about talent. I promise you that, and you got to have players step up. And I think everybody stepped up. Jordan stepped up and got us ahead, and Sierra had some big rebounds, and Izzy, you can just keep going down the line. But very thankful that I have this opportunity, and it's a great feeling.
Got a question in second row, center.
Holly, you guys trailed by double digits in each of these 3 games. Can you just talk a little about the resiliency of this team?
Our halftime talks are very interesting. I would really like to lead by double digits early if we could, but I just think it speaks of our resilience, and we try to make practice as hard as we can. And we talk a lot in the timeouts about drills that we've run and stops that we need to get, and we just keep going back to things that we've already worked on, and I think they pull from that. And like Sierra said, they're competitive, and they don't, and everybody is, but they've got a little bond here going together and a trust for each other that is really strong. And I attribute to them and them stepping up and not caring who gets the credit, who makes the play, but did you make a play and did you win? So I just would like them to step up a little earlier than 8 minutes, 7 minutes to go in each game. So I wouldn't be as hoarse and look as bad as I do.
Another question in the front.
Hey, Isabel, it was getting really rough in the paint in the second half. How did you guys just keep your emotions contained and ride that to victory today?
I think the most important thing we did today was we stayed together. There's times there were confusion, but at the end of the day, we consistently talked to each other, no matter if it was just what defense we're going to be in or next time we got to get a stop. We were always talking to each other, and there wasn't a moment on the court that we were quiet. So I think out of everything, the aggressiveness has really helped us.
Far right.
For Holly, Matthew said that he sensed tensions rising and had spoken to the refs about his concerns before the double T's. Did you see things arising. And then the second part, it looked like the game was called much tighter afterward. Did you have to make any adjustments to for that?
I didn't feel any. I didn't foresee anything happen before those technicals. I did not. You know, I thought the officials made the right call. I mean, I thought they, you know, and then I don't know if it got tighter or not. Of course, you know, I want every foul called, and I'm acting crazy, but you know, I think they do their job, and they're human, and it's a difficult job, and I didn't feel any. I didn't feel that. I just wanted us to compete, and I thought that's what we were doing.
The question in the middle center.
For Coach, you guys have just won this tournament. Most people think the SEC is probably the best league in the country. Can you just speak a little bit about how the strength of this league and the grind every time you play a team, even if it's not one of the top teams in the league, is going to prepare you and have you ready for the NCAA tournament? Well,
it is a grind. I mean, you look at Kentucky's record. That does not show how strong that team is. You look at LSU. That does not show how strong that team is. So you can just go down the line. Florida, Georgia has 20 wins, and it's a battle every night. Every night. We go to Ole Miss. We go to Mississippi. Everywhere we went this year, it was a battle. It was a battle. We were nervous to go up to Missouri. They beat us up there. So I think it's an unbelievable conference, and you look at the record and you look at what people have done. And we got beat twice on our home court. For us, that we feel that shouldn't happen, but it happened to two very good teams. So it's just, I think we've got great coaching, and I think we've got great athletes who compete. And this conference for women's basketball is special, and it has been. And I think we recognize that, and it's going to continue to be.
Back right.
Holly, 53% for Kentucky first half, 31 in second half. That's a huge difference. Can you just talk about your defense?
Well, we weren't very good defensively the first half consistently, and we talked about that at halftime, just getting stops. And you know, we started the game in a zone, and we weren't very good, and then we went to man, and we were okay. But I think we gathered ourselves at halftime and talked a lot about getting stops and locking your player up, and we were concerned with Nene Harper, who had a great game and a great series, and Jennifer O'Neal too, and their inside. So we were obviously, I think we were kind of worried about everybody, but we gathered ourselves, and we relied on each other to get stops and get rebounds, and that's what we talked about.
In the center.
Given what you said about how tough this conference is,
yeah,
and given the fact that all the pundits have sort of been, you know, put back on their heels with what's gone on in the other conference tournaments, in terms of top, you know, supposed sure number one seeds and that sort of thing, do you think Tennessee has a case to make for one seed, and if so, what would it be?
Well, I would think so. I would think this is I think the toughest conference in the country, and I would think that if you win the tournament, you would get opportunity to have a number one seed. Of course, I can't control what NCAA thinks, but I think we've come on strong at the end of the year. You can make a case for South Carolina as well. So I think we've put ourselves out there to give us the opportunity to.
Back center.
Holly, if you could expand a little bit on winning your first SEC tournament as a head coach. Last year you won a regular season. Pretty good way to start your tenure. And this is what's expected at Tennessee, but does it feel that much different than when you were a player and when you were an assistant coach?
Well, it is an expectation, and I tell these kids every day, it's expected. And when you don't win an SEC regular season, it's a disappointment. But this is obviously special to me because it's my first one. But I've been involved in so many and was very fortunate to have the chance to coach with Pat Summitt, and they all felt special. But this with this team and what I think they've put out there and what they've been through and just the sacrifices they've made, I'm obviously happy for myself. But I just love that these guys get to experience it. And we talk a lot about it. And they're part of our history now. We talk a lot about the history and their tradition. And they've just put themselves a part of our tradition and our history. So,
Question on the right.
For Izzy, just talk about being named tournament MVP and what that means to you.
I mean, like my freshman year, I didn't really play much, and then last year I was out, so I didn't play again. So, I mean, this year I just really wanted to go in with a different mindset and just do whatever it took for us to get this win. And honestly, I never really thought that something like that would happen to me, but I mean, it helped me a lot because my teammates helped me get there. So, and that's just something that I've seen every time we win something like this. Freshman year, we all had each other's back too, and I'm just glad we were able to carry it out this year.
Question.
Can I speak on that as well? I'm sorry. I think Izzy is a product of, we talk a lot about doing work in the off season, and Izzy was injured last year and didn't play a lot, as she said, freshman, injured last year. But this summer, we stayed at, we all, everybody stayed in school. But Izzy went that extra mile and worked out with her brother, and she put in the time, and Dean's put in a lot of time with her. So I think Izzy, she herself deserves a lot of credit because she's put in the work and she's battled, and I can't tell you how many shots she's taken on a post move or in free throws and that. So I'm just really proud of her because just seeing the result of time put in, and just really proud of her for being the MVP of the tournament.
The question in the center.
Yes, I'd like to ask each of the student athletes, if there were one snapshot or scrapbook moment that you were going to take away from your tournament experience, whether it was on the court or cutting down the nets or getting the trophy or being named MVP, or maybe it was a quiet moment in the locker room with one of your teammates or coaches, what would it be and why?
We'll start with Izzy.
My snapshot would be so much. Yeah, can you skip me?
I'll go.
All right, Sierra.
I think there was 11 seconds left on the game, and we all huddled together. I mean, there was no room for any space. It was all 11 of us, all 4 coaches, and I just remember thinking in my head, this is what it's all about. Since I've been here, I've never been on a closer team than this team right here. And just the relationship that we have with our coaches, the relationship that we have with our teammates. I don't think there's a closer team out there in this country, and I really mean that. And I think that moment really spoke for how strong we are as a unit, because it was like you couldn't push us because we were just all standing together as one. And that moment, I knew we were going to win the game. It was that moment.
Jordan.
Well, Sierra took mine, so I'm going to have to think about mine. I would say, just because it was my first time, I would say just being here, just getting off the bus and being able to be in this SEC tournament with these guys. We've worked so hard off season, regular season, and just during practices all the time. We work so hard to stay together, and it just shows. And I would just say my snapshot moment would just be getting here.
Back left.
I got one.
Oh, you do? Okay.
My snapshot would have to be me and Dean's talks throughout each game, even before I got here. And since I've been here, he's highly included, but he's my post coach. But since I've been here, Dean has honestly had the utmost faith in me no matter what was going on. And I'm just blessed that I was able to share this experience with him because he really had my back through everything.
All right, back left.
Mine was seeing these kids put their hats on and smiling and getting under the confetti and holding up that trophy. It was great to see. Great to see.
All right, back left.
Sierra, what went through your mind when you fouled on that three-pointer? I mean, you had the jersey over your head. You looked like you might lose it right there.
I was on the verge of losing it. But I'm an emotional player, and I think I play with my emotions on my sleeve. And a lot of times, my teammates and my coaches, especially Coach Elsie, need to tell me to come back because, they always tell me to play and fast forward. And, I was mad at myself for fouling. It was a dumb play on my part. But I just looked at my teammates, and they helped me keep my head high, you know, and Meg told me that we were going to win this game, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without Bash and Izzy and Dre and Meg, who were in that huddle with me, telling me that it was going to be all right, that we were going to win. So yeah, I was just distraught. I was, but they had my back, and that's what it's all about.
Got time for a few more?
I have one more.
Heather, follow up?
Holly, Matthew had some discussion about their seeding going forward, where he thought that would be, and he said he saw somewhere that they were a 4 seed currently. What would you make of something like that?
That's crazy. So I don't know. I don't, like I said, I know he doesn't, and I don't have control over the seeding, but I would hope that you would look at where Kentucky's at right now and how hard they're playing and what they've done. I mean, they just knocked off supposedly an apparent South Carolina #1 seed. So I think they're better than a number 4 seed. I don't get it, but I just don't. I don't. They have a system in the NCAA, and we follow it. So, but I don't see that. I really don't.
Got front center.
Isabel, after you walked up on the podium, you said you screamed out Nashville as the team's next goal. What are the keys for you guys to keep battling and go forth in Nashville?
To have an aggressive mindset on defense. You know, when we play our best defense, we're unstoppable, honestly. And when we don't focus on the offensive end, we're good. And we're going to make our shots, you know. So I think we need to have the same mindset that we had in here, that we're going to be in that final game. So if we have that same mindset and that's going to stop us, we're going to be there.
We'll take one more, far right.
Coach, for those of us who don't follow you regularly, can you update Massengale and how close was she for this tournament? What might her return mean for you going forward?
She was not going to play in this tournament. It's a day-to-day, and we're waiting on her to be headache-free. And so, I mean, I'm sitting here, and I would anticipate she may be back for the tournament. But, you know, she's still a part of our team, and we want her back. But I cannot say enough about Andrea Carter and Jordan Reynolds of what they've stepped up and have done. And we've been tough on those two in practice before Massengale ever got hurt, and really tough on them just to prepare for something that may happen, may or may not, but we've put them in situations where they've had to run their team before while Massengale was here. So I think you're seeing two young ladies step up and take up the slack for Massengale, who was leading us in scoring. But we hope she's back, and I think our number one concern for her is her health and her long-term health. So she's still very much a part of this team.
All right, Coach, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you all.